Okay, we are live from the Hanguk office. Back again with Nathan. I'm the International Student Coordinator for Hanguk, and today we have another live video for you. Before we get started, I wanted to remind everyone that we have a couple of application deadlines coming up for our schools. The first one is Hanguk University for March 26th. Sungkyunkwan University is March 24th. Shili University is a little way down the line at May 15th, and Kyongsung University is April 23rd. So if you're interested in going to Hanguk University or Sungkyunkwan University, be sure to get your application forms into us by the end of March. So today we're going to be talking about a combination of two different things. We're going to be talking about the cost of living in Korea as well as some money saving tips. So as you all probably know, Hanguk's service is free to help you live and study in Korea. And in addition to using our service, once you get to Korea, we'd like to give you some information about the cost of living in Korea as well as how to save money when you get here and start your studies. So some different categories we're going to talk about. So your living expenses, accommodation, transportation, food, and having fun. So we're going to cover these four topics, and we're going to get into the details about maybe what you should budget per month, and as well as all the money saving tips that you can use daily while you study here in Korea. So let's jump right into it. So accommodations. You may have previously seen my live video about all the different accommodation types Hanguk can help you look for when you use our free service. This picture is from the mini studio, and for accommodations, given a monthly budget range up at the top here. So we've listed, between 450,000 to 700,000 won per month. If you're talking US dollars, it's almost 1-to-1 now. So $1 US is almost 1,000 Korean won. So you can kind of gauge yourself, your own budget there. Accommodations are going to be one of your biggest expenses. Besides your tuition for school, you're going to need to probably set aside the most money for accommodations. In general, the accommodation price is going to depend on your location as well as the type of accommodation. And in the live video, I reviewed all the different types of accommodation that Hanguk can help you provide, or help find for you, that we can provide for you. And as I mentioned before, this is a picture of a mini studio, but we can also help you find a share house or a dormitory, as well as other types. So next we have some tips regarding saving money for accommodations. If you live somewhere like a share house, you're going to have utilities. And as we go through the presentation, just if you have comments or questions, leave them below and we can get back to you regarding those. So going back to accommodation tips, you're going to have utilities if you live somewhere like a share house that you're going to have to pay monthly. And so the electricity and gas rates here, especially in Korea, are graduated, which means if you use more, your rate will increase significantly. So in the summer, people really want to limit their use of air conditioning, and in the winter, people really want to limit their use of gas for heating. And here in Korea, the heating is normally done through underfloor heating called ondol. So either you'll have some type of heating element or hot water running through your floors to heat your house, and that can use a lot of energy. So a lot of people try to regulate their use of both cooling and heating throughout the year. If you're looking to save some money, dormitories at universities are one of our most affordable options, and many of those also incorporate meal plans. So not only are you saving money on where you sleep, you're also saving money on your food. And we'll get into food a little later in the presentation in more detail. And a lot of our accommodations are very close to our schools. You can walk to campus or you can walk to your school from the accommodation. So you can even save money on transportation as well. And again, we'll go into more detail about things like transportation and food later on in the presentation. So again, if you're just joining us, I'm Nathan with Google Hanguk. We're going over some tips about saving money in Korea, as well as what living expenses you should budget for when you come. So next topic is transportation. Seoul, especially, as well as Korea, has a very modern and robust public transportation system. It's one of the biggest and best in the world, and one way to ride the transportation system is buying a rechargeable card called T-Money. And that's the name of the main transportation card throughout Korea. It's the main one used in Seoul, but it can actually be used in many other cities, transportation networks, and they share systems. So you can buy just one rechargeable card. We're going to specifically talk about T-Money here, but you can buy one card and use it throughout the country. At the top, I've listed some prices. So for example, a one-way fare on the subway in Seoul is 1,250 won, which is a little over $1. Maybe you want to ride a taxi, you can't take public transportation somewhere, or you need to go home and you're not close to public transportation. In Seoul, the starting fare, the flag drop fee, is 3,000 won. And actually, this is very inexpensive compared to somewhere like the US, where taxi fees to just get in the cab is quite expensive. You know, maybe $5, $8, who knows. For a monthly budget for transportation, we put the ballpark range of about 50 to 70,000 won. That's like using the subway maybe twice a day during the week. Of course, your personal usage will vary, but this is like a very real kind of ballpark that you could shoot for. And again, if you charge your T-Money card, you can use it on the subway system, the bus system, taxis, even convenience stores will take the T-Money currency to pay for things you buy at the convenience store, snacks and drinks. And as I stated earlier, you can take that T-Money card to other cities, other provinces in Korea, and they all kind of work with each other. So you don't have to worry about buying another card or another system for your transportation money. So now we're going to go on to some money saving tips for transportation. So the advantage of getting a T-Money card is that it actually gives you a discount versus using cash. So for instance, if you're riding the subway in Seoul, you'll actually pay a little bit more money if you use cash to buy a one-way or one-use ticket rather than using a T-Money rechargeable card. In addition, like if you buy a one-way ticket with cash, you're gonna have to pay a deposit for that actual ticket because your ticket is actually like a contactless payment rechargeable card. So it's to your advantage to spend like 3,000 won to buy a T-Money card, and then you can recharge that as much as you want. You can keep using it for as long as you're in Korea. Even if you leave and come back, the balance will hold and you can still keep recharging it as you need to. And we also made a video about that on our YouTube channel, so you can check out how to buy a T-Money card on our YouTube channel video. A good tip to remember when you're traveling on public transit is that you need to tap your money on the little pad on your way out of the subway and bus system. So subway, they kind of force you to because they have the gates where you have to tap in and tap out. For the buses, it's not required, but you should if you're going to, especially if you transfer, because if you transfer, you can save money if you transfer within a certain window of time. So say you're going from a bus to the subway or from the subway to a bus to another bus, you can keep tapping as you exit those buses to save money on transfers. So you're not paying a full fare the next time you get on the subway, or you're not paying a full fare the next time you get on a bus. If you're using the train system in Korea, or if you're using the subway exclusively, there's special passes you can buy. So Korail is the name of the national train system in Korea, and they have a pass that you can buy that gives you like a certain amount of rides or per month, and that can save you a lot of money. So say if you want to do like a long travel period right before you leave Korea, or you have a break and you want to go all the way around the country, you can buy this pass to save you money on the fares of your train tickets. And then once you have that pass, you don't have to buy a ticket every time you want to use the train, every time you want to go from city to city. If you're in Seoul and you want to use the subway system and you're using that almost exclusively, you're not taking too many taxis, you're not taking too many buses, then you can buy a special monthly ticket, which gives you heavily discounted rates on the subway. So you pay a certain amount of money and you get, it's like 60 rides or something like that per month. And I've written the Korean name of that subway monthly ticket for you there. So if you are in Korea, you can just write that down and tell them that you want to buy that, and they should be able to help you at the subway stations. In terms of taxis, as I said earlier, if you're in a place where maybe public transit doesn't take you all the way, you may need to take a taxi. You can definitely save some money here in Korea. Like, there's so many taxis available, especially in cities like Seoul, and oftentimes they're much cheaper than maybe where you're coming from, especially if you come from maybe somewhere like the UK or the US, where taxis or even other car hire platforms are more expensive. In addition, there are apps in Korea that help you hail cabs. Like, you don't have to stand on the middle of the street and wave your arm. There's apps that can help you call a cab to wherever you are, and this works like throughout the country. And on Facebook, I wrote a note about some helpful apps that can make life easier for you in Korea, and I've listed those apps there, so you can check out the Facebook notes as well. So we'll move on to our next category. So again, thank you for joining us. If you've just started streaming, we're talking about money saving tips in Korea. If you're just joining us and maybe you have some questions or comments about the previous topics, please leave a comment or question below. We will be happy to get back to those after the live stream. Our next topic is about food, and this is one where we also gave a ballpark figure of 250,000 to 300,000 Korean won per month. Again, this is kind of up to you, what you like to eat or how you want to spend your money in that sense. But there are some differences between eating out and cooking at home in Korea. If you're living alone, a lot of people that do live alone will eat out quite often because it's quite affordable. I will put up some prices here on the screen. So let's say you're living in a dormitory or you're living very close to campus. You can eat at a campus restaurant for very cheap. For instance, when I was at language school, our campus restaurant had meals for like below 2,000 won to up to maybe 3,000 or 4,000 won. So yeah, when I was at language school and needed to save some money, I would eat on campus because they have a couple different menu items and maybe even a couple different cuisines, maybe a Western meal and a Korean meal, or a Chinese meal and a Korean meal. So there's some variety that you can find on campuses in college, on college campuses. Another popular snack, you can see the picture in the background, is of kimbap. And all over Korea, there are small kimbap restaurants, and you can find prices as low as maybe even $1, or I listed here 1,500 won. That's a little over $1. As high as maybe, if you want really fancy kimbap, maybe $3 to $4. But normally they're quite reasonable, and many people buy them for a snack or a very light meal. Of course, you have ramen, all the instant noodles, very popular in Korea. If you're going to buy them at a restaurant, like say Kimbap Heaven is one of the main chains here in Korea, you're probably paying between $3 and $4, or 3,000 to 400 or 4,500 Korean won for a ramen dish at a restaurant. And it may have other things in it. Maybe it will have some egg or some rice cake, or maybe some ham or something like that. So it won't be just the package of ramen you can buy at the convenience store. So you're getting a little bit more for your money. Another great budget meal are the Korean soups and stews. So in Korean, they're called jjigae for the stews or tang for soups. And there's some other dishes as well that fall into those categories. Again, you could pay anywhere from $4 to $7, $8, depending on the size and maybe what the restaurant you go to. That's another popular meal item, and it will come with rice and your side dishes as well. So you can get a very hearty meal for not that much money here in Korea, and that's why a lot of people do eat out. And of course, there are people that decide to cook at home, and that's also a very viable option. And we'll get into more tips about that on the next slide. But one thing to remember about eating out is that your tax is included, and there's no tipping in Korean restaurants. It's just like a cultural thing, as opposed to someplace like the US, where tipping is culturally kind of accepted and expected when you go to a restaurant. Here in Korea, culturally, tipping is not expected, and some people are very even if you decide oh man, this person really gave me great service, I should give them something extra. Some people are very hesitant to accept those type of tips just because it's not culturally part of Korea. So next we'll move on to some money saving tips for food. So yeah, if you're really good at planning and want to prepare your meals in advance, then there are plenty of places to buy your groceries. There are many marts, supermarkets, as well as department stores that also have food that goes on sale. As I mentioned before, generally Korean food is pretty affordable. If you do want to have something that's not Korean, like say Italian or Indian or something like that, then you can definitely find it, and you can generally find those ingredients to cook as well. But local Korean ingredients are going to be more affordable in general. A lot of the fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King, they run, Loteria is a local one. They run specials at lunchtime. So like a Big Mac combo will run you less than $5 during lunch. Well, during dinner, it's actually more than $5. So also you can take advantage of that when you eat a meal in Korean restaurants, that you'll get the side dishes, the panchan as they're called. And as I mentioned earlier, with things like soups and stews, they'll give you rice as well. So again, if you want to stick with Korean food, you can definitely save money that way, but by all means, you're able to find other cuisines as well as cook other cuisines if that's what you'd like. Many convenience stores run deals like buy one, get one free, buy two, get one free. In Korea, they say 1+1 or 2+1, or sometimes they may have 3+1. So things like potato chips or bottled drinks or packaged cookies, things like that will go on sale very often at convenience stores, or they'll run some promotional deal where you get 2+1, 1+1. You can just translate to it being like buy one, get one, or buy two, get one for people from the States that are used to that in stores. And as mentioned earlier, department stores and large supermarkets, like say you go to the Hyundai department store, or you go to Home Plus, somewhere like that, if it's kind of close to closing time, especially at the department stores close earlier than the big marts like Home Plus and E-Mart, which are two very large supermarkets, kind of like a Target or Walmart that also has food. They put all their ready-made meal items on sale. So things like bread, baked bread, they have things like pre-prepared panchan, pre-prepared side dishes, things like pre-made meals like say marinated meats for bulgogi, things like that, or for marinated stir-fried pork, spicy pork. Those things will go on sale, and they can have like heavy discounts. maybe you get 3 boxes of panchan for $10 or something like that, where originally they were each $5. So I myself have gotten like side dishes and breads from those stores at sale times. Bread was like originally almost $4 each, and then they did 2 for $5. So it can be like a big savings if you're near one of those stores and you can, buy that food before all your neighbors do, because they actually get very busy during that time because everyone knows that those items will go on sale. And as I mentioned earlier, you can find good deals at the traditional market sometimes, and in Korean market is Sijang. So if you look for that, you can see a lot of people probably selling fresh produce, as well as they may have small restaurants or small stalls selling other items there. Most people like to buy like things like fresh produce or side dishes or have a small meal in the market. So me personally, I go there for sometimes good deals on produce depending on the time of year. Obviously, things in season will be more affordable. So right now you're seeing a ton of strawberry everything here in Korea. Like all the cafes have something strawberry, and a lot of marts and markets are pushing the strawberries right now because they're in season. But in general, you can pretty much find what you need with a mix of these areas: marts, supermarkets, your department store, your traditional market, and kind of pick and choose what you need out of those options, and you can save money in that sense. This is our last category, and for those that have questions, please remember to leave us a comment or question below, and we will definitely get back to you after the live stream. And for our final category, we have the having fun category. Of course, in Korea, there's lots of different things to do, and we wanted to give you some insight into like real world pricing and how to budget for that. So if you're of age and you'd like to partake in something like beer or the local Korean alcohol soju, you can see the prices there. Again, 3,000 Korean won is about $3-ish US per glass. Sometimes it may be a little more or less depending on the neighborhood you're drinking in. That actually can determine the price. So maybe if you're closer to a college campus, it'll be a little more cheaper. If you're in another maybe more businessy area of town, they may get away with charging a little more. Same thing with soju. As low as 3,000 to 4,000 won per bottle, $3 or $4 per bottle, and maybe higher, 5, 6, depending on if you're going somewhere in a different type of neighborhood that they may get away with charging a little more. Fried chicken, very popular in Korea. Very popular meal to have with friends. Again, that price will range, but $10 to $16, $17 per chicken is a good price. Again, there's a ton of Korean chicken like restaurant chains that exclusively do fried chicken. So everyone has like their favorite chicken chain, and I myself like a couple. I like Gyeocheon chicken. I also like BHC. So those are like two of my favorites, and they're pretty reasonably priced. You may find some other just independent shops that are in restaurants that are selling chicken as well. But yeah, actually right now most are dominated by these large fried chicken chains, which are good. So don't get me wrong when I say that there's a lot of chain restaurants. Again, another really popular food is barbecue, and probably the most you'll see is pork barbecue, which means your pork belly, your samgyeopsal, your kalbi, which is like your rib meat, things like that. Those are going to be your most common, and you can pay anywhere from like $5 to $10 per serving, and just pay attention to the grams they give you. Normally they list like it's 100 grams per serving, or 150 if they're really generous, 200, 250, and normally the price will follow. So if you can check out a restaurant and look at their menu and say, oh, they're only charging maybe $6 for 150 grams or something, then I think you're doing well for pricing. Again, it depends on which neighborhood you're in. our office is kind of in a more modern businessy neighborhood, so it may be a little bit more expensive as opposed to a neighborhood like near Hongdae or Sinchon, where there's a lot of college kids and a lot of customers that maybe don't have that as much money. So just keep that in mind. Another thing that's popular to do are like going to things like noraebang, which literally means like song room, and it's this room culture. So there's a lot of different rooms in Korea. You've probably heard of things like PC bang, which means computer room, where it's just wall-to-wall computers where people play online games. Those are open. Some are open 24/7. Most are open all day. You can watch movies and things like DVD bang, just means DVD watching room. There's even things like board game cafes popping up now. Multi-bang just means you can do a variety of things, like you can watch movies, you could play video games, you can just play music and hang out in the room. And most of these, it's pay per like hour, or per hour it could be very cheap. Like I've been in a PC bang that was like less than $2 an hour, maybe $1 an hour or something like that. So depending on again, the location and the level, the kind of quality of the place you go, it can be very affordable to go out and have some fun in Korea. So again, my name's Nathan with Google Hanguk. We're on our last section about saving money and cost of living in Korea. And here's some tips about saving money while having fun. If you're just starting out and you have a limited amount of money in Korea, you probably want to set some type of budget for maybe your weekend or your Fridays. You can, of course, go out and have fun with your friends, but be aware that because things can be so affordable, like as I mentioned earlier, a beer maybe $2 or $3, a bottle of soju is like $3 or $4. People can burn through money quite quickly. So just be aware of that, and you can look for affordable options to have fun as well. You don't have to necessarily spend money to find things to do in Korea, and there's a lot of free and inexpensive things to do that you can take advantage of while you're here in Korea. A lot of the museums are all free. A lot of the palaces, it's either free or very low admission fee, like $2 or $3. A lot of public parks and public areas where people hang out all along the Han River. There are public parks. There are large forests and woods as well. Even though we are in Seoul, there are areas to get out of the concrete jungle, so to speak. As well as if you're here in Korea for a while and you get to know the online shopping websites in Korean, you can save a lot of money buying things there. I've even bought things like toilet paper and bottled water and paper towels off of online shopping markets because, for one, they're very hard to carry back to my apartment because I don't have a car. I have to use public transport like so many other people. So it's much easier to, say, order 2 big packages of toilet paper and have them delivered to my house, or order 24 like large bottles of water and just have them delivered to my house, as opposed to lugging them in a taxi or on a bus or through the subway or things like that. So we've wrapped up with our 4 categories we're talking about. And again, if you watch this video later and have a question, please leave us a comment below. And now we're going to get into an overall budget for the month that you can think about. And again, these are just ballpark figures, and ultimately it's up to you on your spending habits, but hopefully this will give you an idea about kind of how much I should budget, because we get this question a lot. Like, people really are excited about living and studying in Korea. They want to come here. They have the money to pay tuition. They have set aside other money as well, but it's always a big question about, well, how much do I need for 1 month, 3 months, or 6 months? So here we go. Again, these are just ballpark figures that we've used here, and we did mention them earlier in the slides as well, so you can check them out per category. And these numbers here are, I'd say, kind of real. They're not just like some range because we don't want you to know the real number. We're trying to give you real numbers for you to be able to set a budget while you're in Korea. So obviously, you can use our free service to help you set up your school and accommodation, and we'll of course tell you the tuition for your school as well as your general accommodation fees. So we can help you with that. And then for you, for your transportation and your eating and having fun, you can kind of obviously manage your lifestyle to whatever your budget may be after your tuition and accommodation and getting to Korea. I've listed the prices in Korean won, and I've also converted those numbers to US dollars. This is today's exchange rate in the afternoon, so if you're watching this at a later date, your exchange rate may be better or worse, but in general, the Korean won numbers will stay pretty similar. So as you can see, we're hovering around, $750 to $1,000 range for a monthly budget. And it's true if you stay in Seoul that it is on the expensive side in terms of Korea. However, it's going to be comparable to any large city based on your earning potential. So if you decide to go to, say, Busan, where our other partner schools are located, it could be a little cheaper. You may save money on things like the accommodation, or you may not have to go that far on transportation because Busan is a smaller city. Or say you really like eating Korean food all the time, you could save money in that way for eating, or as well as budgeting your leisure activities. So there's definitely ways to save money in Korea, and I hope that this information so far has given you some insight into real-world ranges that you can think about when you are coming to Korea and you say, okay, go Hanguk, I've put aside the money for a plane ticket, I've put aside the money for tuition, but now I need to know, what other costs do I need to think about? Like, I need to obviously feed myself. I need to get to and from school, or I need to get to and from sites I want to see in Korea. And of course, I want to, enjoy all the fun things that Korea has to offer as well. So again, this video will be up on our Facebook page, and we'll also upload it to YouTube. So we hope you can, really gauge your monthly budget from this video. And of course, if you have questions, you can comment on either place. And as I stated earlier, ultimately it depends on your spending habits. So if you're coming here to Korea and again you've reserved some money, you know how much money you have before you're gonna go negative, right? Before you go to zero. And you can definitely budget accordingly and modify your spending habits. If maybe you don't have money to spend like 6 months or a year in Korea, we have a bunch of different study trips, which are short-term trips, less than a month, that you can take to really get a Korean experience without spending a ton of money. And right now we're accepting applications for especially our summer course. So I can show you our website a little later and show you our study trip page as well, so we can talk more about those. So of course, the best tip of all is if you use Gogo Hanguk's free service to get admitted to language school and to find accommodation, you're already saving money there. So we'd really like to, help you get to Korea, and hopefully this video will also help you plan and manage your funds to also get you to Korea. And I think, did you have Eddie, did you? Okay, so just one last thing before we hop over to our website, our application dates again for our partner schools. There are some coming up very quickly. March 26th is Hanguk University. I know there are a lot of people that are interested in studying at Hanguk, and to apply to the summer term, you must have all your documents and application to us by March 26th. And then for Sungkyunkwan University, they're March 24th. So again, there's been a lot of you that have been interested in Sungkyunkwan University, SKKU. So again, March 24th, deadline for applying to Sunkyungwan. And later in the spring, we have Kyongsung University in Busan, which is April 23rd. And in May, we have Shilla University, also in Busan, so May 15th for Shilla University. So really quickly, let me jump over to our website to talk about our study trips just briefly. So again, here's our website. I had showed this to you in our previous live video together. Yeah, right in the middle here are the study trips. So if you scroll down, you can see our different study trips we have here. I mentioned earlier our summer course, which is currently accepting applications, and it is 3 weeks long, starts in July, ends in August. If you're not out of high school yet, if you haven't graduated high school, we are offering a youth trip. So this is a very unique experience, offering a trip to youth for 2 weeks. You get to experience Korean language school. We provide you accommodation and also a bunch of different cultural activities. And that's the same for our summer course. Our summer course is offered to adults, so let me just click into that really quickly. And you can see on our website, we have some highlights of what you get to experience. Again, your accommodation and your time at language school is included here. So we can provide you with a mini studio as well as classes at Lexus Korea, one of our partners. And Lexus Korea is located in Gangnam, just down the street from the GoGo Hanguk office. So we'll be in really close proximity to you if you have any issues or any questions during your stay. We have a ton of fun cultural activities planned, including, like I mentioned earlier, visits to Palace, going to market, like I mentioned earlier, enjoying noraebang, the singing room, like I mentioned earlier as well, and experiencing a bunch of different things, all during a brief time in Korea. So again, if you want to experience Korea but you don't have that much time or your funds are limited, these study trips are really a great way to take advantage of coming to Korea and getting a great experience in a very short period of time for something that will fit your budget. If you click on the Book Now button here, it'll take you right to the application, and we've also made a video regarding the summer course as well. So let me just show you the youth trip for those that may be interested in that. Similar to the summer course, it includes your accommodation. It includes lessons at Lexus Korea in Gangnam. And for the youth trip, we actually book homestays for you, so you'll be living with a Korean family, and you get to really jump into the Korea experience right from the get-go with your Korean family that you'll be staying with. And again, for the youth trip, we have a bunch of different activities for you planned around your K-pop and your Korean culture. So we have your K-pop dance school, we have different activities, SM Town tour, and some other pop culture things, riding the Korean wave, as they say. So you can see here some other fun activities we have. So as you know, K-pop is still really popular. It's, there's even Korean artists signing with labels outside of Korea these days. So we really wanted to give the youth especially a trip focused on K-pop and the culture that comes with it. So if you're interested in the youth Korea trip, you can apply today. We're accepting applications right now, and again, it's from July 30th to August 12th, so spend 2 weeks in Korea with us. So let me just hop back to the presentation. So again, thank you for being with us today on the live video. Really hope this gave you insight into the cost of living in Korea, as well as some money saving tips. If you have more detailed questions about either cost of living, saving money, or even our study trips, just let us know. You can contact us a variety of methods. We have, of course, our website, like I showed you earlier, info@gogohanguk.com, our email, and you can find us on social media, Facebook as you're watching now, and our Instagram and YouTube. Please don't hesitate to ask us any question. We are here for you to help you transition to living and studying in Korea the simplest and easiest way possible. Again, my name's Nathan from gogohanguk.com, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, comment and ask your questions below, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.